Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Success Codes podcast. My name is Melinda Van Fleet, and I'm an intuitive energy business and leadership mentor, and I am so glad you joined me today. Today, I want to talk about a really big topic, and that is your belief system in regards to content creation. And this has been something I have worked on for a very long time. If you have followed me for a long time, you have probably listened to many podcasts, especially on the Crush It in Sales podcast and Confident Conversations podcast, when I was doing all of those, that really dove into a lot of this journey. And it's something that I see out there with so many other people. It's actually quite fascinating now that I have a completely different lens, and I feel more confident about not only what platforms I am using consistently, and consistently is the word here, and also how I'm showing up and using my voice. And it's something that I think is important in terms of being in energetic alignment with your audience and your message and what you help people with, how you help people. And there is a lot of really, really, really boring content out there. I'm just calling it out. There are people using AI, and it's so obvious. And I like AI. I'm not knocking AI. We've had Jasper forever, but we use it just for like different reasons, not to create content, right? That's where people are getting hung up. And also, people just not doing anything. Not doing anything. And it's so funny to me, the whole aspect of likes and comments on social media, because when you think about it, like, let's be real here, it is super easy to like and even comment on someone's picture where they're just like showing an anniversary. Hey, it's my anniversary. I love my husband. Of course you're going to like that. Of course you're going to tell them they look beautiful in regards to their wedding picture, right? If you don't, you're kind of an asshole because it keeps appearing in your feed. Facebook and even LinkedIn keeps showing it to you until you finally like it, even with Instagram sometimes, until you finally like it. And you're like, okay, I like it. So I just like it right away. I'm like, I like it. I love it. And I move on. But what I find is that people get stuck in the doing, and also the whole context around how much do I have to do, right? What should I be doing? And these are all narratives out there that are placed on us, and they end up getting into our minds. And I believe even at the subconscious level, which is the little blip that I had some realization about a couple weeks ago. And really understanding that, if you're doing what you love and you're doing it consistently, and if you believe that this is going to work for you, that's really all you need. That's really all you need. There are so many successful people out there online that maybe just do a little bit. And then they teach from this land of, I only worked 4 hours today. And if that's true for them, and they really are a multimillionaire because they only worked 4 hours today, there might have been some pieces of that journey that they're not sharing with you, like the building of it, or even the mindset work around it, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So, also too, this came up because I used to do polls. I used to do polls on LinkedIn. I've done polls before in my private Facebook group that I'm really not very active in, to be honest. That's why I don't promote it much. And this one LinkedIn video creator coach, I guess you could say, and he's fairly new, but he's got a nice following and he has nice little posts. I think his name's Danny. And he did a post about creating a poll to see what you can then DM people about in the messaging. And I wanted to get that straight, like how that was. And I had never heard of anyone doing a poll for that reason. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I ended up reposting his post because I just thought it was interesting. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. It's not for my brand. And I don't believe it's my audience, right? So I read his piece of content, and instead of being like, oh, I should do this, which is what a lot of these coaches want you to do. They want you to end up working with them to learn how to do the thing that they're saying to do. I was very clear in knowing that that wasn't for me. I don't want to be cold DMing people or even like warm DMing people and trying to sell them in the DMs. And I just don't also believe that that's my person. I'm very clear, and I just don't believe that that's my person. My person has to really get to know me. But then that goes into a whole belief system, right? That I believe that my person has to get to know me. So when you're looking at your content, it's important to kind of go, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? And then what is my belief system around that? And that's where it really pops into the subconscious work, right? Because you're kind of like doing, but we're never really stopping for a moment to really have awareness around our belief system in doing it. But we keep doing it. A couple months ago, maybe like, oh gosh, I wish I knew, like 3-4 months ago, I was home on a weekend, as usual. If you know me, you know my husband's good karma sport fishing and coaching, so he works a lot, and he normally works the weekends. The universe does not know time, so we work on and off whenever we feel the need to. And so I often am technically working, whatever you want to call work, on the weekends. And this person came into my feed, I think on Instagram, and his name is Suby, Suby. And he had a very funny, sarcastic, contrarian little Instagram ad for his book, Sell Like Crazy. And I myself am a sarcastic contrarian, for sure. And so I loved him right away. I was like, oh, I love him. He is speaking to me. And I signed up for his, I think I got it free, like a free audiobook. And then he sent me the book in the mail. I think I had to pay shipping. In the same weekend, I also got some ad or email, or maybe saw it on LinkedIn, I don't remember, for Alex Hermosi's book, 100 Million Offers. So I was like, well, this will be fun. This will be like a fun little test. I'm going to get both on audio. I think I might have had to pay for Alex's. I might have just used an Audible credit. I don't remember, but it was in the same weekend that I actually listened to both. And I listened on a fast speed. And it was very interesting to hear two completely different vibes, different energetic vibes of successful entrepreneurs sharing tips and tools that were pretty much the same. It was very fascinating because both do believe in having lots of content and also doing like some type of reach out funnel. And it's not just organic. It's not just organic growth over time, even though it probably did still take them time to get to where they're at. And I believe I've heard Alex talk about things like that, especially his podcast. I think it was years before his podcast really took off. And I loved Suby's audiobook. Alex's was fine. It was fine. I pretty much knew where he was going with his content, and it was fine. But what happens when you consume content from people like this, people from entrepreneurs that are ahead of you, that, you know, tell you how much money they've made, which is fantastic. Well, I'll get there someday. And you end up creating these like doubts in your head. Am I doing enough? Am I creating enough content? Am I doing the right thing? And it actually can derail you on your content creation in terms of the energy behind it, because then you're doubting yourself as you do things. And you're trying to follow someone else's playbook and blueprint that likely isn't a match for you. But they want you to buy their program, right? And this goes across the line for everything, if you think about it. Every single thing. If you're someone who's bought courses before, like me, raise your hand high. If you're someone who has bought personal development books before, like me, raise your hand high. If you're someone who even has worked with a coaching program that puts you in a box and teaches you their steps, raise your hand high. And these things really may not always work for you. You may pick out a couple nuggets from it. They may be good little tweaks or things you want to do, and that's totally cool. I believe in constant learning and evolution and growth. But it's really important not to get caught up in, do I need to do more? Am I doing it correctly? Should I be doing this? Should I be trying that? And get into this whole mental mind loop of doubt about what you're doing. And believe me, if you are there, I understand. I completely understand. Again, if you've been following me and listening to my podcast for a long time, you will hear many, many podcasts where I'm like, oh, today I'm on TikTok. Today I'm trying this. Today I changed my podcast title, right? I have done all of those things. So there is absolutely no judgment, only compassion. And I'm only sharing this with you. So if you are one of those people, this can help enlighten you and maybe go, gosh, you're right. I need to spend a little time and create some awareness around my belief system in regards to what I'm doing. And that's what I had a couple weeks ago. I was like, I feel really good now. I just updated my website. I love it. I'm totally in love with my website. I feel like hugging it. I just love it so much. And I'm really happy with the content that I'm creating. It's very manageable. It's so funny. People make comments to me and I'm like, oh, I've got this down. I record my podcast on Saturday, it goes out on Sunday. I create my Instagram, Facebook stories Monday through Friday. Those don't take me very long. I love doing them. I create content for Facebook and Instagram, pretty much the same. Let's say 5 to 7 days a week. If I miss a day or two because I'm just kind of in a recalibration or my energy feels a little off, then I skip it. I don't worry about it. I'm like, oh, the world's not going to crash because I didn't post on Instagram today. Like, we will all be fine. And then the same thing for LinkedIn. I have the same thoughts around LinkedIn. And then I do my YouTube video once a week that I try to have it in alignment with my podcast. So they kind of tick and tie. I already know what my theme is going to be for this week's YouTube that's in alignment with this podcast. And it kind of ties my content for the week together for the most part with a little bit of a niche. And speaking to my audience, is it 100%? No, because other things pop up too, especially if I share an article or like a networking picture or something like that, then it's going to vary off what I am having as a theme for the week. But for the most part, it's in alignment and it keeps it really simple. I keep some notes. I see what else comes through. I ask for guidance from the divine and I roll. It's really, really simple. So I feel really good about where I'm posting and where I'm sharing and what I'm sharing and my voice. And so when it bubbled up a couple weeks ago that I had to really make sure subconsciously that I was 100% okay, that I am doing enough. I am doing enough for my business. I am doing enough for my audience. I am doing enough to grow my business. I am doing enough for visibility, and stop worrying about what everyone else is doing and what everyone else is saying in any other programs. I had to cut those cords even more. So I have cut so many cords. I had to cut even more. I was like, cut. Who else can I cut? Every day I was like, oh, you're cut. You're cut. Not following you anymore. You're cut. You're cut. So really, really paying attention to that, I think, is truly next level, because again, it can just create this whole energetic swirl that you're not even aware of. And then all the work that you're putting into your content, because Alex Hormozi says that you should have more and you're all following that, just really doesn't make sense. And quite frankly, the majority of people can't even handle that. So if you circle back to human design, if you're not a human design generator like me, you're not going to be able to even handle that. So then that stresses out your nervous system, creates more doubt, more feeling inadequate, which is just truly not even necessary. That is just silly. But that's what that does, right? When you listen to those people and you're like, oh, I should do more, and you read these books and you're like, oh, I should create a funnel, or oh, I should do Facebook ads, or oh, I should be cold DMing on LinkedIn and seeing what else is going on, then that just creates more and more swirl that's not in alignment with yourself. It's not in alignment with yourself. So my biggest advice on this topic, and it sounds so simple, people, it really kind of is, but it's just, again, one of those things. There's just way too much content out there. There's way too many videos. There's way too many people giving their advice, trying to sell a program, trying to get you to sign up for something. But it's just get very clear on what you like to do, what you're truly happy doing it, and when you're happy doing it in terms of content creation and your platforms, and just do that. Do that consistently over time. Consistently over time. And your time may be a year. Your time may be 2 years. Your time may be 3 years. Your time may be 4 years. Don't worry about the time, because then you'll collapse the time. But that is truly it. So now I feel just at home. I've figured out what I like to do. I want to now focus and fine tune some things, right? So I have my foundation. These are the things I like. So now I'm fine tuning the podcasting. I'm like, put it out there. If I come across more guests, it was super fun to have Sarah Sparks on my podcast about a month ago. Like, are there more guests like Sarah that really show up? I would love to have them on my podcast if it's a compliment, if their topic fits my audience, right? I would love to be on more podcasts that if I fit that person's audience and they do a good job of promotion too, because I do a great job of promotion. So it has to be an equal energy exchange. And often I find out with podcasting, it's not. People think that you're their advertising machine, and that then is not how I roll. So anyhow, so that's one thing. And then the other thing I'm going to get a little stronger on is the YouTube. I love YouTube. It is my go-to platform and I love it. So I want to create some little shorts. My husband's been creating shorts. He's getting some more traction. He's getting some more subscribers. They're also transferring over to Instagram. So I want to do the same, right? So I'm not shifting off of being on YouTube. I'm just going to work on YouTube and fine tune it a little more, get a little better at it, get a little stronger every day, one little baby step better on YouTube. So if you are not subscribed on my YouTube channel, please subscribe. I have my videos on there, and they're tight. They're just like this podcast. You know, I try to be like 10 minutes. Sometimes the podcasts are like 20, I will admit, but my videos are more like 10. And I always appreciate when I hear people liking and then commenting, because I know what resonates with people, right? Because that helps me to know what to share more about. So it's been an interesting journey. I know I mentioned the Alex Hormozi, his whole mantra for his newest book, which is 100 Million Leads, was truly more, better, new. So when you get the more, you've figured out the more. So for me, I don't need more. I have enough. Now I'm just getting better, right? So it's really like taking the aspects and being like, okay, how can I get better? Personally, I don't think I need to do anything new after that, but we'll see how it goes, right? That's my whole point of this. So I'm not fully on board with everything that man says. Plus he has a team, but the concept of then getting better as your step 2, I think is really important after you've built your foundation and you've figured out what works for you and what is in alignment. So I hope you like this podcast. Definitely follow me on Instagram and look at my stories, because every day, Monday through Friday, I post an extra little nugget that's in alignment with this podcast. It's something that came through after, something I want to extrapolate on, something else I want to share. And again, I love doing those. They're just like easy and fun in Canva, and they circle back to my content. So thank you for listening, and until next time.